Skull and welcome back to Valkyrie's Art Corner. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit bell for notification of my new video. Today we're going to be working on a request somebody did in my comments about shading. So I'm just going to do a basic drawing for the most part, and all you'll need is a pencil and an eraser. So that's all you'll need. So I'm just doing basic, just kind of like a quick drawing to show you how to do shading. And I'm going to get set up right here. So what you'll need to do is start out with a picture that you want to practice drawing with. In this case, I'm going to be doing a profile picture of a woman. And I'm going to start out with drawing her eyes. So since this is mostly focused on the shading instead of just like the basics of drawings, I'm not going to do my grid or anything like that. So I'm doing like a half triangle with kind of like a curve on the outside, and then the partial circle on the inside for the eye, and then I'm just drawing little dashed lines for the eyelashes. Quick tip on those to not make them look stringy is to draw them clumped together to give them more of a full look, and then darken the line that runs over the eyeball to kind of emphasize that there are eyelashes there, but the harder you press, the darker they look. So I went ahead and drew the iris on the inside with a circle for a highlight. So now I'm just kind of lightly going over and shading. Now on the shading, what typically is taught is that the harder you press, the darker it gets. The lighter you put pressure on your pencil, the lighter it gets. So that can actually help play in making contrast show up a lot better in your drawings. So right now I'm just stenciling out some eyebrows at the moment, or eyebrow, just to kind of show where my eyebrow is going to go, and then the profile of the face to kind of just do the starting point of this lady's face. And that's what you'll kind of want to do, is just get your solid lines and stuff out of the way if you're doing a, I wouldn't say realistic, but semi-realistic, because with mostly realistic ones, you'll want to eliminate mostly solid lines and just emphasize on shading. So I'm just more so going for the basic type of shading right here. I may in one of my later videos do more of like a realistic portrait. I can do them, but they're not my favorites to do. I tend to stick with more cartoony, anime kind of like stylizations, because frankly they're more fun to me. So now, sorry, I am putting in her forehead, kind of like highlighting certain areas that kind of came light. So I'm darkening the nostril up to kind of emphasize the shadowing there. So I'm putting medium to slightly heavy pressure on it, and I'm drawing the outlines of the lips at the moment to kind of highlight the lips. And then what you'll want to do is kind of outline where the hair is going to go. So I'm just kind of drawing in where I think the hairstyle should go, but I'm going to be showing you how to shade in hair too. I'm not the best at it, but I know the basis of how to do it. So if you're a beginner, this is for you. So you just kind of outline how you want the hair to go, which way it needs to go, because that'll determine which way your lines are going to go. If they're going to go sideways, more curved or straight or anything like that. You got to give your hair some life. Otherwise, most of the people I've seen, the way they draw hair is like literally putting spaghetti noodles glued to somebody's head, and we don't want that. So we want a little bit more character and more personality with the hair. So, and that can either make or break a character design as well. Even though I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, the hair doesn't make or break a character. Well, yeah, it does, because the hair can completely reflect the personality of a character. So, all right, so right here, I'm kind of drawing in her cheekbone. I drew in kind of a little bit tougher line, and then I'm going around it lightly. And then I'm doing what's called smudging. So most of the dark line that was there beforehand is now smudged, but you still get the emphasis that there is a cheekbone there. And I'm kind of doing the same thing here. and drawing in a little bit of a, like, you know how when somebody would smile or kind of make a U face is the cheek. And then I'm going to darken the eyebrow here just so you can see it. So now she's coming together a little bit more. And I'm also adding her eyelid crease and then putting medium to light pressure around the edge of her eye to kind of give it either a highlighted of makeup, or that's where your brow line or eye socket would be on the eye. So now I'm just adding in a little bit more line work there. And then now I'm doing a light shading where the eyebrow would crease up around the almost the bridge of the nose, and then shadowing in there because that's typically where shadowing is, and there's normally a highlight on the bridge of the nose depending on where the light's coming from. So I'm just putting light pressure there and then smudging it with my finger. Now with the lips tend to be somewhat okay with new artists and stuff like that. Key point is that the upper lip is always darker than the bottom lip. So what I'm doing is putting dark on the outside of the bottom lip and then drawing a highlight circle on the lip and then lightly shading my pencil around the bottom lip. And then underneath the lip, if you ever look at a portrait of somebody, they tend to have like this dark shadow underneath where the chin creases up just below the lip. So that one you'll put medium to light pressure, and you could choose to smudge it if you want. If not, you don't have to. You can just kind of leave that there. And then I'm drawing the jawline. And in the picture I was referencing, her neck was actually blacked out for the most part because of the way the light was. So you really couldn't see her neck where all of her hair was, but her hair was just lightly, or a little bit lighter than what the neck would be. So that's how I was able to tell the difference of where her hair ended and her neck began. So with hair, you want to not have solid straight lines. You want to have them more whimsical, more wispy, pretty much not straight lines. And then you'll just kind of, depending on how long you want the hair, you can draw however long the strands are. I typically use a bunch of lines first, and then I will smudge it out, add lines in for more shadowing. And then you'll see here in just a second, I typically use an eraser for the highlights. So that way it still smudges a bit when I take it through, but it also gives me that highlight. So right now I'm kind of just darkening in this area right here. Since the light can't reach there, you tend to want to shade it in a little bit more. And then I'm going to darken her neck, which I'm using medium to heavy pressure on the neck to make it darker, but not jet black to where you can see it come out on the page behind it. And then again, I'm just adding in more lines here, taking note not to mess up the line work of the face that I currently have. And then just following it around, just adding it to however I want, and then making adjustments. And you don't want to go all the way around, because typically females in general will have volumized hair and it's layered, so it won't necessarily be like a ball cap unless that's how they wear their style. So I did a bit of smudging there, and I darkened my lines a little bit so that way my face would not get lost in the shading of the hair. Now don't be too caught off guard. I don't have I can't remember what the glove's called, but it's designed for artists who do a lot of smudge work, or they erase a lot or anything like that, to where they don't drag the graphite from the pencil over onto other parts to where you have to go back and erase so much. I personally don't care. That's just how I was taught. But yeah, it prevents the graphite from building up on your hand and keeping it from smudging. But like I said, I typically don't care, so I don't have a glove. So again, I'm just going over and over and over my lines, doing some smudging. If I lose some of my lines, then I just go back and just draw them in, or just add more detail and more character to the hair. So now I'm just coming down to the back right here where her hair is and just kind of drawing my lines. Some of the hair is not like fully connected or anything like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just kind of, you know, just going with it. But I'm using medium to light pressure on the detailing of the lines and smudging them in. And then just bringing the hairstyle around to add in some more of the dark. Now keep in mind also, the more lines you put closer together, the darker they're going to be. So if you're going to do my smudge technique, then please, 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 please be careful how much pressure you're putting down, so that way it doesn't dilute your art. Right here, what I'm doing is taking the eraser and just kind of streaking it out and erasing some of the shadowing I made with my hand, which will help lighten it and give it highlights, and also eliminate some of the need for some of the lines. So I switched off to my big wide eraser because the graphite, as you can tell on the tip of my pencil, started to really build up. And normally the way I clean it is I'll just rub the tip of it on my pants and it pulls the graphite off. But now I'm just kind of lightly going right back in here and doing some light pressured kind of like marks on there, and then smudging them out to make them smooth. Because the harder you press, the more prominent the line will be, and it'll be harder to blend it unless you go back in and do something of equal pressure. So right now I'm just currently just going back in, drawing more lines, making more repetitive lines to be able to blend it out, still have detailing of the hair underneath it, but just still making it look more like hair. Like I said, hair is not my strong point, but I know the basis of how to do it. And I've had plenty of practice with my lights and darks. And as you can tell, my eraser is kind of making up for that. So you got to learn to utilize it. I know a lot of people, they don't like using the eraser. They think of it as their worst enemy and everything like that. But your eraser can be a really good smudging tool. So don't be afraid to experiment with it and everything like that. So, yep, I just need to clear off some of those pieces that are on there and then fix the shoulder. And then again, light to medium pressure on that to highlight where the shoulder is. And I'm going to dust that off a little bit and erase some of the lines as you saw out there. There'll be little black smudges out there because, like I said, I get graphite on my fingers and then I'll set my fingers down on it and everything like that. But that's the basis of how to do shading. And I really hope you like the finished product. If that information was good for you, then let me know in the comments. See you later.